Hey guys, it's Luke, and as a way to celebrate getting 500 plus subscribers, I decided to create a video of my favorite moment from every video that I've made. If you guys would like to let me know yours, and from any video, or all of them in general, feel free to leave them in the comments. Okay, enjoy.
Married Miss Charlotte LaBeouf. I swear, every time he says her name, I think of Shia LaBeouf, which makes me think of both the Transformer movies and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and that's definitely a sin.
That is definitely not a sin.
Annie is a terrible human being who should have Lilo taken away from her immediately, and no amount of animated bullshit redemption will change my mind on this.
Imagine losing both of your parents in a car accident, becoming the breadwinner for your younger sister, having a social worker trying to take her away, trying to convince him otherwise, and being called terrible. That's worth 400 sins.
Why do you need a bra?
This is how Shubi looks in the show. If the animation is going to stay true to the style of the show, then she has to look like that.
You're getting your every desire here. I wouldn't blame Coraline if she actually decided to stay. Not like she even has to pull a cipher and sell anyone out.
But you are aware that the whole thing is a trap, right?
The pig tracks get on the ceiling.
Spider pig, spider pig. How did she not hear this or see this before now?
Sending this funny scene.
Well, better get going.
But your bridge is gone, and you are 20,000 feet up in the peaks of this mountain range. Where do you better get going to exactly?
If you just continued playing the movie, Pancho would answer your question. He says,
Well, better get going. With that bridge out, it's a 4-day walk to the palace.
Goes to Christmas Town, he falls through a weird time-space warp abyss thing. But then the movie never explains how he gets back. It's not like there's a ladder he could climb up.
well, if he was able to find the holiday doors in Halloween Town, then he most likely found them again in Christmas Town and got back that way.
Shrek, I think you grabbed a 40 of after potion.
Have I mentioned this movie made nearly $1 billion?
Yes.
Iron Giant's still biting cars and silos on farms when he has a junkyard to feast on, or all these pre-junkyard attacks. Movie doesn't care, so why should I?
You have answered your own question. They are pre-junkyard attacks. I mean, I figured that out every time I see this movie. How do you not get that?
Jesus Christ, is it possible to have too many references to Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie? This movie is pointing a pretty big arrow to yes.
This is a Spider-Man movie, my dude, so it can have all the Spider-Man references at once. Also, would you want a Spider-Pig reference like this one?
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig.
Headquarters looks an awful lot like the CN Tower.
I mean, yeah, they kind of do look alike, but why is that a sin?
Don't worry, they'll be able to fix this.
How do you know?
Because I've seen them do it before.
And you're not putting two and two together and realizing she's the exact same girl somehow.
Dude, she was like 6 back then. Of course he won't recognize her.
And had no idea when Harry and Marv would be back, right? So he's been puppeteering this Christmas party all night in anticipation of their arrival? I admire his stamina, but I don't know if he can keep this charade up all night long, given he'll have no idea if they drove by or not.
Well, when Harry and Marv leave, Kevin looks out the window and sees them, so he knows when they drove by.
Decided to pick something a little more humble.
Also, we now enter minute 6 of this bloated opening exposition. I swear if this Will Ferration goes on much longer, I may be the one who goes full supervillain.
Oh, you've already gone full supervillain, my dude.
Considering it's closed, why were this many people just hanging around outside Krusty Burger, or whatever cartoon-based Krusty restaurant this is, in the first place?
It's called the Krusty Krab, and you literally sinned a scene that told you that.
I can't play it, but I'm going to be real with you because you deserve it. The music in this movie sucks. It may be even worse than Phantom.
I'm going to give you 100 sins for saying that the songs in this movie suck, and another one for the fact that your opinion is not something wrong with the movie.
In a world where superpowers are real, physical injuries as a result of superpowers are not real.
Oh really? Then how do you explain this?
It could be anything
anywhere.
It's crazy to me that the guy who's been in 80,000 escape rooms in his life looks under the table first and inside the kitchen cabinets when there are magazines and books everywhere in this room that are more likely to contain clues.
I mean, have you never been to an escape room? Sometimes they'll have clues hidden inside something or on the floor. I mean, I did this escape room once and there was a key hidden in a fake plant, and this escape room was in the dark.
In Lego World, clouds can get so fire damaged they crash into the sea, which sort of makes them not clouds, but whatever. Science doesn't exist in this movie. It's not like I need Dr. Tyson's help here. I got this one, Doc.
Look at that, guys. Jeremy just admitted awareness that this is a fictional film. But because he never takes that into account with future videos, he won't be getting a sin removal from me.
In a way, I'm almost glad that flood interrupted us because I don't like the toast I was giving.
All of these people, not to mention his wife and f***ing son, could have died, and this asshole is happy because it gives him a chance to redo his toast. And he's the hero of this f***ing story?
True, but that toast was about Mr. Fox's wrong assumption about supposedly beating Bogus Bunsen Bean. And this toast is about him believing that the animals that are with him can help him rescue Christofferson.
Whoever lived out here put a cookbook with a bunch of science books. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong.
To me, that doesn't matter. I mean, look at this part of a bookshelf at one of my homes. Are all the books the same? No, they're not.
Expressway is a little too obvious. On a quest, the clear path is never the right one.
The f*** does that mean?
It means to have the courage to travel somewhere differently than on the path that you think is right. In other words, it's an opportunity to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy.
God damn it, another movie with armed drones. If Bad Boys for Life and Spider-Man Far From Home have taught me anything, it's that I hate f***ing armed drones.
The villain's name is literally Robotnik. Of course he'll have robots with him.
Bang the drum.
Grandma did say bang the drum, but despite the two sticks on top, this looks nothing like a drum. Grandma should have been more specific. It said bang the upside-down, all-wood, horsey saddle-looking thing.
Actually, it is a drum. It's a slit drum found in the Pacific Islands. You really need to do your research.
So treasure your skip.
Hey, that's my line.
But this movie came out 25 years before your channel did, so the movie had the line first.
This chameleon straight up murders a bitch.
Yes, but Mother Gothel was still going to die either way, since like I said in the previous scene, she was keeping herself young for hundreds of years.
I know we're in a cartoon musical where anything can happen, but I'm drawing a line at synchronized animal pyramid stacking.
What's with the contradiction here? You say that you're aware that this movie is a fantasy where anything can happen, then you say it can't happen. Why?
Sure, Motorola Razorfist can just jam a hastily chopped off dragon scale sword into his arm port and everything works just fine, but I spent 30 minutes trying to decide which way is up on a USB cable.
Wow, nobody cares.
Crack that pain bone open and suck out the marrow.
Don't make a college girlfriend joke. Don't make a college girlfriend joke. Don't make a college girlfriend joke.
Saying something random, saying something random, saying something random.
Will you stop making Boo laugh?
That's weird, because the last time Boo made the lights go out, it was because she was crying, not laughing. She's been laughing the whole damn time she's been in this building and nothing happened.
Actually, when Boo was crying, it didn't make the lights go out. When Mike landed in the trash can, got books stuffed in his mouth, and had a speaker fall on him, Boo laughed so hard to the point that all the lights went out.
As Dude Man does CPR on Lady Person and others shriek nearby, I would like to point out that I would probably be more invested here if I had any idea who any of these people were.
Well, if you were actually watching the movie and not whining about wanting it to end, you'd have an idea of who all the main characters are.
Excuse me? You're biting my butt!
That's exactly what my college girlfriend said to me shortly before dumping me.
Okay, I've got 3 things to say here. The first is obviously Jeremy says something random cliche. The second is that this is another recipient for my award. And finally, did anyone need or want to hear that?
Tell me. Nobody. Tell me again. Nobody.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
Have to disagree there, Squiddy. For some, mayonnaise is an instrument that makes your intestines play all kinds of awful music.
Sinning is mayonnaise an instrument. That's worth 60 sins.
By the way, this car getting a ride from a truck doesn't endear me much to Lightning McQueen, but I'm already having trouble figuring out why I should root for this guy since he's been nothing but an asshole since the movie started.
Well, let's look at these two characters from two other videos I've made because you referred to both of them as dicks. And yes, they did act like dicks, but that's because that's how they were characterized. And did they change at the end of their movies? Yes. And the same thing will happen to McQueen.
Gonna be king of is king of the stupids.
This line is appropriate because this movie is definitely funnier than the 1996 Tom Arnold vehicle, The Stupids. And that's about it.
So you're giving this movie a sin because you think it's funnier than another movie. Okay then.
God damn it. There's no way they could get up this high this fast, and if they did, they'd already be dead anyway. This movie is sneaky terrible on the surface.
So Jimmy goes on a ridiculous 40-second rant here, claiming that this movie is terrible and compares it to a rash that bleeds when scratched. And overall, it's clear that he doesn't understand that others don't have the same opinions as him and that he needs to respect their opinions. So I'll spare you guys the 40 seconds and give him 15 cents. And also my opinion on this movie is the opposite of his, in case you're wondering.
So instead of trimming some of the fat down from earlier in this movie, Tarantino decided it would be better for him to just tell us what happened instead of writing more dialogue.
Wait, what? In order to have narration in a movie, you have to write dialogue.
This claw works unlike any other in the history of the prize machine universe. I'm sorry, Sid doesn't win this one. There's no way.
I would have to disagree because even though they are hard, I have won at crane games many times before. For example, I once won 7 stuffed animals from a crane game and got 3 of them on one grab. Not joking.
Knife hands! Back kick! Gummy bears!
That is definitely amusing, and I hate to be a killjoy, but did he need a robot to get him gummy bears out of the vending machine? Man, I'm an asshole.
This is just supposed to be a funny joke, my dude. Also, why do you have a problem being a killjoy here but had no problem with it when doing movies like Angry Birds 2 and Princess and the Frog?
I am nervous about this movie. We're 2 minutes in, and there have been about 73 quick cuts and zooms, and May is just a ball of energy that I am not prepared for.
Well, you're going to have to get prepared for it because there's a lot more energy coming up in this movie, especially from Abby.
I'm not saying this roadside dance is racist, but I am saying Squidward's nose looks like a penis.
As usual, I'll be giving you 100 sins for that inappropriate comment, but I'm also giving you 5 extra sins for thinking anyone wanted to hear that.
Also, these kids went through all this trouble to steal pastries, when there are about 100 different ways that didn't involve climbing a tent and swooping down to get them.
Are you going to tell us what they are, or are you just going to say something and expect us to go along with it?
What did you do?
Why are they all mad at Mirabelle? Julieta is the one that caused all the rain. She has just as much control over the weather as Mirabelle has over the cracks in the house.
Julieta's gift is making healing food, so you mean Peppa is the one that caused all the rain. So I guess listening to the Family Madrigal 5 times wasn't enough for you, huh?
Call the school, you can miss orientation week. No problem.
Wait, what? I was almost willing to go with this nonsense as typical forced movie plot movement, but you pulled her out of orientation week? That's next level selfishness, and honestly makes me wonder if Rick is even redeemable at this point.
Rick does have a character arc in this film. He's technophobic, and he has to get over it at the end of the film when he tries to screen share Katie's dog movie to take out the Pal Lab robots.
Fucking hell. 80% of the characters only exist to pad the runtime.
Which is ironic coming from the guy who says non-sins in his videos that only exist for the purpose of padding the runtime and sin count.
Chocolate! Chocolate! Chocolate!
Chocolate.
No, no, no. Sinning this for literally any reason. That's worth these many sins.
Shrek is addicted to frogs. Also, that's not how frogs work.
Also, that's not our world.
Annie spills a little bit of water on herself, and that's as good a reason as any to take off both shirts and her pants in the middle of the kitchen with open windows all around.
No, she spilled butter on herself, not water. Tell me, do you put water on your popcorn instead of butter?
EMP suddenly doesn't work because God hates all of us. And yes, I know what the movie tells us about McQueen's fuel later that totally explains this, I just don't care.
Acknowledges that the film explains why McQueen doesn't die here, yet proceeds to sin the film for the camera not working anyway.
As this gorilla sings Coldplay on a shit-ass piano held together by ropes, I would like to point out that this movie sucks!
Well, I think most people would argue that this movie is better than the first one and is a very fun movie to watch, which I definitely agree with. And it's completely fine if you don't like this movie, but you should at least explain why, which you haven't done at all throughout this video. And that doesn't just apply here, but also to other movies like Angry Birds 2, Princess and the Frog, Megamind, Shrek 2, Home and Robots. So just like the previous sin, I'll be giving this sin not just my award, but also these many sins.
Writers think a heist movie without laser trip sensors is more absurd than a piranha with legs.
But Mr. Shark also has legs, which sharks don't have in real life, so how is it more absurd that only Mr. Piranha has legs to you?
The Grinch hated Christmas. Oh, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason.
Except Ron Howard. He seemed pretty sure it was because he was bullied in school. So canon schmanon, I guess.
Yeah, except the live-action Grinch movie came out after this TV special by 34 years. So somewhat relevant, but not entirely.
No means yes! I mean, we like to think that Patrick and SpongeBob are great, but Patrick is a total asshole here, and SpongeBob is going along with something he knows to be wrong.
But SpongeBob doesn't immediately go along with Patrick here. Right after this, Patrick opens the door to reveal the snow in Sandy's tree dome, which is what draws SpongeBob in.
Whoa, did they have a barber training course in Alan's Jungle? Cause that's a pretty stellar self-cut.
I thought this was pretty cool, so I'll go ahead and give it a sin.
This jumping is so fake, they might as well have put Mario sounds with it. In fact, let's rewind this and do just that.
Okay, that always makes me laugh, so here's a sin off.
Also, why hasn't any of the original characters questioned why this is a completely different game this time? How and why the did it keep Nigel but change everything else?
Well, when Eddie, Milo, Martha, and Fridge landed in the desert earlier, Fridge did in fact complain about the fact that the game was entirely new. And also, I'm going to show a line from one of the Birdman's videos since it fits with you claiming there's not much of a plot and not even following it.
Jesus, Mulan is f***ing strong. She just one-armed Li Shang out of the snow and onto her horse without sh***ing her pants or popping a toot. Impossible.
Princess, how's it going, first of all?
Shrek musters up the courage to talk to Fiona at the time she's supposed to be asleep, and the door is nice and left open, so he can misunderstand whatever he hears when he gets on the doorstep.
Narration.
I liken me some fun guys.
So, sinning something you like?
Someone remind me why we care about this heist again? Do we even know enough to root for or against it?
You know you don't have to root for the protagonist or their goals, right? I mean, let's look at this animated protagonist scorecard, shall we? As you can see, the person who made this didn't root for 14 protagonists. And also, Electric Dragon 505 questioned why you should root for Surly in his review of this film. So overall, you don't always need to root for the hero.
Scroll is mine!
No one, from Shifu to Poe, bothers to tell this dude the f***ing scroll is blank. I mean, what happens if Poe stops the fight right here and just gives the scroll to Tai Lung?
Well, even if Poe gave Tai Lung the scroll, he probably still would have fought him regardless since he wasn't able to understand the scroll's meaning.
Randall! Wifey's home!
The decision to make Randall and Rachel's wedding an undercover government operation has added entirely too much runtime to a movie that should be 98 minutes tops.
Sure, this sequence didn't need to be in the movie, but I still thought that it was a fun/funny addition to it. And sorry, Birdman, but I liked both this and the dance sequence.
So, you've just learned your father is a baby-killing hate machine. I know times seem tough now, but have a Pepsi.
If he was a regular contractor, carpenter, you would not be able to fix the damage that I do as quickly.
Wreck-It Ralph would be amazing at CinemaSins.
Well, considering he was applying real-world logic to something fictional, yeah, I'd say he'd do quite well at CinemaSins.
The drawings have all been two-dimensional, so how did this bowling ball become three-dimensional on roll? Maybe it added the single dimension from this clearly one-dimensional show.
To answer your question, that's part of the gag in this episode. And also, saying that one of my favorite childhood TV shows is one-dimensional is worth these many sins.
Starfish don't have tongues.
So you're okay with the starfish that can talk, but him having a tongue is crossing the line for you?
This magic carpet is turning this cloud into the poop emoji, and now you will never be able to unsee it. You are welcome.
Thanks?
So far, we have objects coming alive from Toy Story, the daughter won't play her role from Brave, and now lightning's jump over the car finish from Cars. Only 8 minutes in, and I think I've already won my game of Pixar bingo.
Personally, I think you should have given a different animated movie example for that daughter won't play her role thing you said, like The Little Mermaid. You know, because this movie came out a whole year before Brave did.
Between the Toy Story films and the Finding films, it's pretty obvious the bulk of Pixar writers and animators think children are demons.
But Andy and Bonnie are exceptions to that, and there are children in other Pixar films that aren't portrayed as demons, and I'll give 4 examples here. There's May, Arlo, Russell, and Dash.
Yes!
Deus Excalibur!
As usual, I am unsure how this is a Deus Ex Machina, and I see it as more of a Chekhov's gun example on account of 2 things. The fact that we already knew about the sword Unbreakable, and the fact that the heroes have been trying to get it out of the skeleton's head. So maybe look the 2 up in order to learn the difference between them.
Coding is basically just repeating paragraphs, and I don't care how many times you tell me, I refuse to believe there is anyone who likes both vegetables and chocolate. Not a single person has existed with those qualifications. Not one!
Well, I like both vegetables and chocolate, so...
This joke is so far out of left field, I almost love it. But you know me, I'll find sins even if I have to make them up.
Look at that, guys. Jeremy just admitted he makes things up to have sins. But since he didn't stop doing that after this video, I won't be taking off a sin here.
Bully turned friend will be friend to the end.
Tell that to Tad Cunningham.
No. Sinning this part for literally any reason.
Right, no one heard or saw him exit the box and walk over here and do this. Totally. Also, Stinky Pete tightens the screws on this vent, the only method Andy had for escape, but didn't do this any time earlier when he knew everyone was asleep.
I think you meant to say the only method Woody had for escape. So between this and the Encanto video, you really need to proofread your scripts, Jeremy.
He decides when he's done racing. That was the deal. Hi.
Oh yeah, Sally. She was his girlfriend up until this movie, but I guess they had an amicable breakup and remained friends? This movie treats Sally like any random Radiator Springs resident. Poor Bonnie Hunt.
Were you watching a different version of this movie like you did with the UK version of the first movie? This movie never establishes that McQueen and Sally broke up and are still boyfriend and girlfriend, so I think you just made that up.
The house is haunted. Haunted?
Dogs don't talk.
Again, it's cartoon logic, Jeremy. How many times do you need that told to you? Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again for your support, and I'll see you when I get the next Everything Wrong with Simpsons video. And also, the next non-Everything Wrong with video that I'll be doing is a behind-the-scenes video, but I don't know which video that'll be for. Okay, have a good day.